So you have spent hundreds, maybe thousands of hours perfecting your craft, right? From balayage to bobs, you've done it all. Now there's just one last thing standing between you and your official Kentucky cosmetology license. So the big question is, how do you conquer that final exam? Well, you're in the right place. Let's break it all down.
And listen, believe it or not, the hardest part, it's already over. Seriously, this part isn't about learning a bunch of new skills, it's just about proving the ones you already have. So think of this as your personal game plan to walk in there, show them what you've got, and walk out feeling amazing.
Okay, so before you even dream about booking your exam, we gotta talk about the two main players in this whole process. Knowing who's who and who's in charge of what, well, that's the absolute first step to making sure there are no surprises or delays.
Think of it like this, okay? The Kentucky Board of Cosmetology, they're kind of the gatekeepers. They set all the standards, and they're the ones who will ultimately issue your license. But here's the thing. They don't actually run the test themselves. For that, they bring in the pros, a company called PSI. They're a national company that specializes in exactly this stuff. So the board tells you if you can test, and PSI handles the how and the when.
The whole thing really kicks off the second you graduate. Your school takes care of the first step. They send all your info over to the board. Once the board verifies everything's good to go, they pass the baton over to PSI. Now, the key moment for you, the one you're waiting for, is when that approval to test email finally hits your inbox. That is your signal. From there, it's all on you. You'll head to the PSI site and get those exams locked in on the calendar.
All right, let's talk about your first big challenge, the theory test. This is where you prove you know the science behind the style. You know, it's all about the why behind every single thing you do with your hands. Look at this. This chart right here, this is basically your study guide. Forget trying to memorize every little thing equally. Look, almost half the exam, a full 30% plus another 19%, comes down to just two areas, safety and client consultation. That tells you everything you need to know about what the state really cares about. They want to know you can keep your clients safe and that you actually understand their needs. If you master these two sections, you are already halfway to a passing score.
You're going to get 120 minutes. That's 2 full hours for the theory test. If you do the math, that's a little over a minute for every question. So what's the takeaway here? You have time. Please don't let that clock psych you out. There's plenty of cushion in there to read every single question twice if you need to.
Now you'll be scored on 100 multiple-choice questions. But I gotta give you a heads up, you might actually see a few more than that, maybe 105 or 110 questions total. Those extra ones, they're just experimental questions for future tests, and the most important thing to know is that they are totally ungraded. So if you hit a question that seems like it came from way out of left field, don't panic. It might just be one of those trial questions that has zero, and I mean zero, impact on your final score.
The fee for this theory test is $85. And it's really important to know this is a one-shot deal. It's totally non-refundable. So before you hit that confirm button, make absolutely sure you've double-checked your schedule and you are 100% ready to go.
Okay, with the written exam in your rearview mirror, it is time to get hands-on. The practical exam is where you get to stop talking about cosmetology and actually start doing it. This is your chance to really show the proctors what you can do in a real-world setting.
The practical exam is really all about two things, precision and pace. You're going to be graded on a whole series of timed tasks, and as you can see, some sections give you way more breathing room than others. You get 45 minutes for chemical wave, but only 10 minutes for your initial setup. So the key here isn't just knowing the skills, it's about perfecting your workflow, so you can move smoothly and efficiently from one thing to the next without feeling all rushed.
Now listen up because this is a super critical rule that you absolutely cannot forget. The theory exam is the key that unlocks the practical exam. You have to pass the written part first. There is no way around it. You can't even schedule the practical test until you've got that passing theory score in your hands. So all of your focus needs to be on conquering that theory test first and foremost.
Okay, you've done all the prep work. The date is circled on your calendar. Now let's talk about the game plan for the day itself. A little bit of planning right here can be the difference between a super stressful morning and a confident, easy start.
This is the one rule you just can't bend. You have to arrive at least 30 minutes early. I'm serious. This isn't just about being on time. It's about buying yourself a totally stress-free buffer. You need time to park, find the room, check in, take a deep breath, and just get in the zone. Because showing up late doesn't just mean you're rushed. It means you forfeit your exam fee and have to start this whole process all over again.
Your ticket into that exam room is your ID, and trust me, they're incredibly strict about this. You need 2 forms, and one of them has to be a government photo ID, like a driver's license. But here is the #1 mistake people make. The name on your ID must be an exact match to the name you registered with. No nicknames, no variations, nothing. As for everything else, just leave it in the car. Your phone, your bag, even your coffee. The testing center is a total no clutter, no distraction zone.
Of course, even with the best plans in the world, life can throw you a curveball. So let's cover the 2 most important what-if scenarios. What if you need to reschedule, and what if you need a second chance at the test?
So, what happens if something completely unexpected comes up and you just can't make your appointment? The good news is you can reschedule. But, and this is a big but, you have to follow the rules to the letter.
I need you to memorize this number, 48 hours. That is your window to reschedule without losing your fee. And here's the little detail that trips so many people up. You must speak to a live, actual person at PSI. An email isn't going to work. A voicemail definitely won't work. If you don't get confirmation from a real person, then in their eyes, you're a no-show and your fee is gone.
All right, let's just talk about it. Let's talk about the big one, the question that I know everyone secretly worries about. What in the world happens if you don't pass on the first try?
First things first, take a deep breath. Failing is not the end of the world, not even close. In fact, the state of Kentucky has made this whole process so much simpler. There's no mandatory waiting period, no expensive refresher course you have to take anymore. You just wait 30 days, you reschedule, and you go again. Seriously, think of it less as a failure and more like a practice run. You got this.
So let this be your final thought before you walk into that exam room. All those hours in the salon, all those chapters you read, they've all led you right here, to this moment. You have already proven you have the skill. This test, it's just a formality. You are so ready for this.
So as you're studying, I want you to keep this image in your mind. You, holding that brand new license. And just ask yourself, what's the very first service you're going to perform as a fully licensed cosmetologist? Now go make it happen. Good luck.